Hey everyone, this is my California compliant Smith Wesson M&P 2.0 9mm full size 4.2 inch barrel, which I purchased it back in June of 2024. It's been safety checked, nothing in the chamber, nothing in the mag. It's unloaded. When I bought this gun, it came with two 10-round magazines, interchangeable palm swells, and a cable gun lock. However, I encountered an issue. The magazines only allowed me to load 9 rounds. I then called Smith & Wesson and told them that I had purchased the gun a few months ago, but the gun magazines only took 9 rounds, and it would not allow for the 10th round. I was told that I could send them the magazines, or they could send me the springs and followers so that I could replace them myself. I opted to have the springs and followers shipped to me. About a week later, I received the springs and followers, but I had the same issue again after I replaced the old ones with the new ones. So I tried to cut one of the springs down to a 10-round capacity, but that didn't work. I called Smith & Wesson again. This time I was instructed to load the ammo into the magazines and leave them in place for a week to loosen the springs. I was also told that the springs in the magazines that came with the gun and the ones shipped to me were meant for high-capacity magazines. I said I would try his suggestion, and I ended the call. However, I was surprised to learn that the springs in this 10-round magazine are designed for high-capacity models, and that in other states, the magazines with these springs can hold up to 17 rounds. I didn't expect Smith & Wesson to place high-capacity springs in a 10-round magazine. After a week of leaving the ammo in the magazines, I found myself back where I started. So what I did next was load the ammo, unload it several times, and only then did the springs loosen. Finally, I could fit the 10th round in the magazines, still with some resistance, but I just shoved it in there, repeating the process several times to loosen the springs. So this is the Smith & Wesson 10-round magazine and high-capacity spring with a gray follower. Versus my HK P2000 10-round magazine and spring with red follower, which I have never had issues with my HK P2000 magazine loading 10 rounds into. Clearly, you can tell the difference. Look at the sizes here. HK P2000, Smith & Wesson 2.0. Besides the issue of the high-capacity springs, another thing is that the firearm was released optic ready in other states in 2021 that do not have such stringent requirements as California. Why would Smith & Wesson not release the optic ready version in California in 2024 rather than wait until 2025? In my opinion, just like the high capacity magazine springs in a 10-round magazine, it's all about money. Money and more money. In 2024, this gun was released for sale in California for about $670. After its release, the standalone optics ready slide was released for $300. And now this year, the optics ready version of the 2.0 firearm has been released for sale for around $670. The same price that it was released in 2024 for California with not optic ready has now been released this year in 2025 with optic ready. Hopefully Smith & Wesson opted not to try to save money once again by putting the high capacity springs on the newly released optic ready M&P 2.0s. Unfortunately, I bought this gun before the new optic ready ones were added to the roster and approved for sale in California. It would have been great if Smith & Wesson had just released the optic ready M&P 2.0 in 2024 and installed the correct springs in a 10-round magazine. At the same time, I am disappointed with Smith & Wesson for these reasons and, in my opinion, for trying to get more money out of Californians. As for me, my next purchase of new firearms will not be a Smith & Wesson. Though this gun can be a solid choice for those who don't mind the magazine loading issue and prefer not to have an optic-ready option. And if you can find this gun for around $500, then why not? It might still be worth considering based on your needs, because overall, I had no issues when it came to firing 500 rounds through it. Feel free to express if you had the same issue or any other comments you might have regarding this firearm.